and put in prison or deported to the caves in the darkest of Afghanistan. The FBI document shows a propensity for violence by the organization. It supports the belief that the leadership of the MOA extols membership to pursue a policy of jihad or holy war against individuals or groups it declares to be enemies of Islam, which include the U.S. government. The Muslims of America is now an autonomous organization which possesses an infrastructure capable of planning and mounting terrorist campaigns overseas and within the United States. A member of another group was killed by the Muslims of America. This guy that was killed was a Muslim scholar that translated the Quran into English. And he was stabbed by the Muslims of America. He was stabbed 29 times. These people are evil, they are criminal, they are murderous, and they are as anti-American as can be. So why are they allowed to exist? Why do they own property? Why are they not all locked up or deported? It's one thing not to be pro-American. It's another to profess to have the desire to tear down America. And they have done it. And this group is murdered. 10 murders. Folks, it's time for another break. We're going to cut away here just a moment early. I've got a little bit of a connection issue. We're going to fix that, and we'll be right back. We still got a great deal of stuff to cover. Please stay with us.
Missed something today, yesterday, last week? Check out our podcasts at www.kcaaradio.com. AM 1050 KCAA. We leave no listener behind.
Tom O'Halloran, holding the line against tyranny from Washington, D.C.
I am America. One voice, united we stand. I am America. One hope to heal our land. There is still work that must be done. I will not rest until we've won. I am America.
Welcome back. This is Jihad-On-America, and I'm your host, Tom O'Halloran. Okay, up next, we've got a great column by a writer by the name of Frosty Woodbridge. He's talking about impregnating America with Muslims. And this kind of goes hand in hand with what we were talking about a few minutes ago. These guys are coming over here, and they're filling up terror camps, training, setting up places that outsiders can't go, small villages that are completely locked off to non-Muslims. But take a look at what's happening around the world. You've got a killing in Paris, followed by another killing in Paris, preceded by a mass killing in Australia. We're at a death knell. If you look into Europe, and I say this each and every show, I talk about the news around the world to tell you about Islam around the world because it's a look into the future. It's going to tell us what's going to happen here in America if we don't get our head out of our butt. Okay? Now, this column is great. This is, I think this is part 5 of a 5-part series. But he's talking in this column about having to preserve our Western culture. And this isn't just in the U.S. But look at what's happening overseas. When you look at what's happening in Norway, when you look at what's happening in France, in Sweden, in Spain, in the UK, they've got these enclaves all over the place. Places, entire sections of the city that are blocked off. They've turned them into literally Muslim slums. The police can't and won't go into them. And for society to sustain itself, you've got to have 1.4 children per family at a bare minimum. We've got 1.2. The Muslims are outbreeding us at a 4 to 5 times that. In 2 generations, Muslims will be the majority in the United States. They will control every election. Every election. The Constitution will be overridden. Overridden. And it's a scary, scary thought. Go back to Michigan. Look at Dearborn, Michigan. They've got their own rules up there. In Dearborn, Michigan, the Muslim courts rule. The Muslims patrol the streets. Their own laws, their own culture. In Islam, it is against the rules to integrate yourself into a society. You must remain Islam. Islam must be the main rule that you follow. Now, John Quincy Adams lived from 1776 to 1848. He said, in the 17th century of the Christian era, a wandering Arab, the lineage of Hagar the Egyptian, combining the powers of a transcendent genius with a preternatural energy of a fanatic and a fraudulent spirit of an impostor, proclaimed himself as a messenger from heaven and spread desolation and delusion over an extensive portion of the earth. The illiterate, barbaric killing machine, the warlord named Muhammad, continues his carnage into the 21st century. If we fail to stop mass Islamic immigration, France's nightmare will become our future. And France's nightmare, my God, Marseille, Arabic is the second most spoken language. Entire streets are shut down in business communities so they can lay down their prayer rugs in the middle of the road, and business stops for anybody that's got a shop on that street. Lawrence Oster of the Preserving Western Civilization Conference in Baltimore, Maryland, back in 2009, he said the key to the liberal ideology is the belief in tolerance or non-discrimination as a ruling principle in our society. If we continue to allow them that don't tolerate us into our societies, then our culture, our rituals, our society will be snuffed out. A society that can't discriminate between itself and other societies will go out of existence. Just as an elm tree that can't discriminate against itself, and a linden tree will go out of existence. To be, we must be able to say that there is us and there is them, which means we are different from others. If we're not allowed to distinguish between ourselves and Muslims, if we must open ourselves to everyone and everything in the world that wants to come in and kill us, we might as well lay down and slash our own wrists. Because our children and our grandchildren will be raised in a society where they won't have a choice. It will be burqas. It will be convert or die, just like it's happening in Syria, just like what's happening all around the world. As long as the Islamic population is less than 5% of a society, which is less than 5% in the United States, as long as it's less, there's not a problem. Unless you zoom in on communities like Dearborn, like Nashville, like Minnesota, on areas where it is greater than 5%, where you've got 10 and 20% Muslims, they get radicalized very, very rapidly, and you don't have a choice. If you're a Muslim in these areas, you do as you're told. You pick up a Molotov cocktail and you throw it at the police when you're told. You behead your landlord when you're told. Even the moderate Muslims, the ones you work with, the ones down the street from you, when their numbers get greater, they will not be moderates, or they will be killed before you will be killed. We have to stop this insanity. We see it in these countries all through Europe. They open the doors and let the Muslims flood in until they're 20%, 30% of the country. And now rapes of blondes are off the chart. 1 in 4 blondes in Sweden is getting raped. Swedes, those beautiful, beautiful blonde locks that we've all loved for decades. They're dyeing their hair as they measure to hopefully prevent getting singled out for rape. Because the Muslim numbers are so great that all stores, all businesses cave. If you don't cave and give them money and bring in halal food, if you don't hire Muslims, if you don't get the pork off your shelves, they'll burn you out. We can't allow us to go through this. If Europe hadn't beat the Muslims back in the 700s, if they hadn't beat them back, Europe would not exist. Europe would be completely Islamic. But the Europeans beat them out in the Battle of Tours in 1732. There would be no women's rights otherwise. But today the Europeans invite the beasts into the societies, as does Canada and Australia and America, without any understanding of the consequences. If the Board of Corrections comes to you and says, listen, our prisons are overcrowded, we need to let some people out. We've got a couple axe murderers that we want to put up into your home. Now, they're not reformed. They say they're going to kill people again. And last time it was the people they were living with. They're going to kill again. We know this. They say they're going to do it again. But we need the bed space, okay? Can you just put them up? Put these axe murders up in your house. They probably won't kill, well, maybe they won't kill your family. But they need a place to stay, so we need you to do this. Would you do it? No, because you're smarter than that. But the country is doing it. The Democrats and the Republicans are allowing this crap because they're getting money from Arabs. They're taking the oil money and they're pocketing it. And they're selling us out, our birthright. Our country is being sold out from underneath us. These Muslims, the Muslim Brotherhood, the 50 organizations that they've spawned into our societies, they say it is their goal to take over America, to breed us out. To breed us out, to take over society from within, violently if necessary, to kill all those who are non-believers. And yet we open the doors and we let them come in. These axe murderers, and I don't use that term coincidentally, on the sheet this morning from Finland, in the town of Oulu, 2 men in a bar were killed with axes by Muslims. They used Muslims here in America just last month. I believe it was in Kansas. They don't care what they kill with. If they want you to convert and you say no, they will kill you. Period. They tell us that. These aren't my words. So why haven't you picked up the phone and called your congressman? Why haven't you made noise and insist that we stop the Islamic immigration? If we don't stop them, they will take over and kill us. And my friends, again, those aren't my words. They're their words. When somebody says we will kill you, why turn a blind eye? Why continue to allow these people into our country? Obama does. And to be fair, presidents before him, all the way back to Reagan, have done it. But up until this recent 6 or 8 years, the violence hasn't been what it is. And I can kind of understand it. Even with Jimmy Carter, it wasn't that violent. It didn't really start getting violent until about 2007. Just as Obama was coming into being, and he's certainly